Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. We are on week 1, part 2 of this month's topic, which is embarrassment. This week's subtopic is embarrassment, which is a motivation. So good evening to my YouTube family. My YouTube viewers, my Instagram viewers, my Facebook viewers, my Twitter viewers. Good evening. And we're going to go on and get started and pick up from where we left off on Tuesday evening. So let me move this along. This is a 30-minute platform, and I'm going to get to my website disclaimer. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to put the actual voice thing on. So y'all will see me, but I'm going to put this on.
Please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself are limited to the current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the client. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information changes frequently, and it is recommended that you, the individual, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness.
Okay, so good evening once again. And we're going to move this on. This month, we're talking about embarrassment and how embarrassment can actually become a motivation, a motivator to you, or a teacher, or however you want to do this. Let me read my quick short bio. I'm a degree counselor where I've acquired a dual BS degree in psychology and organizational management from Ashford University. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through traumatic or stressful experiences. And so we as human beings, when we experience trauma or severe life stressors, it's not uncommon for us to feel like our lives seems like it's unraveling. I help clients who include children, adults, and families to find healthy perceptions of themselves and to strengthen their relationships so that they can know themselves as whole, peaceful, complete, and safe. All right, so let's dive on in. This is an open platform. I had shared some things on Tuesday night about an embarrassing moment with me that I will never forget. It's something that stuck with me for years. It happened when I was a child. But I am a Christian counselor. Let me go on and let me read you the scripture for the month. And it's from Ephesians 4:23, the NIV version. And it says to be made new in the attitude of your mind. So our key points for tonight, let me open this up a little and I'm going to close it back. The key points for tonight is we're going to recap on, is it possible to be embarrassed for someone else? Embarrassment, shame, and motivation to change. Embarrassment or shame as a first step towards personal growth. Embarrassment and shame as a predictor of wanting to change, bridging the gap. We're going to have our takeaway and our quote as usual. So let's start with the recap. The recap is from Tuesday night. So Tuesday, we kind of ended it saying like, is it possible to be embarrassed for someone else? So as far as theory-wise and research-wise, yes, this is a phenomenon known as vicarious embarrassment. This is called vicarious embarrassment when you're embarrassed, when you get embarrassed for someone else. Vicarious embarrassment. It is possible to feel acute social pain in the wake of someone else's social blunders. I talked about Tuesday night. If anybody ever watched the movie Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart and The Rock. And they showed a scene at the beginning of the movie, kind of where they both were in high school, and Kevin Hart was like, he was the one who was the popular person in school, and The Rock wasn't. He was heavy set and everything, kind of very geeky or awkward, like, kind of. And it was some bullies, the school bullies. They saw him showering, The Rock showering, taking a shower, and they barged in on him, which they invaded his privacy, of course, and they grabbed him and they drug him out and threw him. They was having a big school auditorium event at the time, and they threw The Rock out naked in front of everybody, wet and naked in front of everybody. And Kevin Hart, he displayed this vicarious embarrassment for The Rock. So he took his school jacket off and wrapped it around him really quickly, and so he can leave up out of there, while everybody else, including the staff, everybody else laughed at The Rock, which I don't get why the adults was laughing too. You know, that was terrible. This is a scenario of vicarious embarrassment. I opened up tonight with showing a scene from Bruce Almighty, where oh my gosh, not Evan Baxter. Evan Baxter was the one who was actually embarrassed by Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was upset because he got Evan Almighty got Evan Baxter got the promotion that Jim Carrey wanted in the movie, and so he had these powers from God, and he during the opening of this Evan Baxter's promotion, he had him totally humiliated, and he sat there, and it was, you saw what happened when we opened up, and it's very comical, but at the end you saw the display of where Evan Baxter, how he was so embarrassed till he even burst out. He was so nervous and then burst out in tears because of it. So we talked about different forms of embarrassment. Okay, so it says whether the offending party is aware of their behavior or whether the behavior itself is deliberate or accidental. Vicarious embarrassment arises from our capacity to empathize. When you have empathy for someone, vicarious embarrassment can arise with that, and that means you're a good-hearted person if you can feel embarrassed for someone else. All right, so let's move this on for tonight. And I'm going to be switching back and forth. And I thought I went live. Okay. I thought I went live with my Instagram family. Okay. I thought I was live with my Instagram family, but maybe not. Okay. So let's move on to embarrassment, shame, and motivation to change. All right. So could the emotion that we run from the fastest help us to be could the emotion that we run from the fastest, so the emotion that we run from the fastest, could it help us be better people, which is embarrassment and shame? And so this teaching tonight, this theory is from Lisa Rivero, who's an MA, okay, in creative synthesis. Okay, so she's an MA in creative, Miss Lisa Rivero. We're going to just say Dr. Lisa. So she says that we know the feeling only too well. Our pulse begins to quicken, like we saw with Evan Baxter earlier. Our faces begin to flush. The feeling is so bad that we want to escape at all costs. Embarrassment and shame has been called our most dreaded emotional experience. Whether we suffer shame ourselves or we witness shame in other people, who among us actively seeks the experience that, she says, Brene Brown defines as believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging? Something that we've experienced, done, or failed to do makes us unworthy of connection. And so that's something that Brene Brown, that's a theory that they talked about. We know that that's not true. Yes, we are. We are definitely worthy of love. And yes, we are worthy of connection. Yeah, so that's just a theory that was just delved into by Brene Brown. So, embarrassment and shame. Let's move this on. Embarrassment and shame. So, embarrassment and shame may very well deserve its bad rap. But with repercussions ranging from the inconvenience of ineffective workplace, team performances, to using shame or embarrassment as a way to manipulate others, to the lifelong debilitating shame resulting from childhood trauma, like what I shared with y'all on Tuesday night. And I'm going to recap on that in a few minutes. Shame researchers such as Brown, which is Brenna Brown, makes compelling arguments for why we should be careful not to let embarrassment and shame rule our lives, and why we should not allow guilt to be made a preferable negative emotion. And so, as it focuses on our attention on specific events or behaviors rather than what's happened itself. But is shame and embarrassment always bad for us, is what Brene Brown is saying. Is it always bad? And so the conclusion came to maybe not, at least not if we're interested in self-change or self-upgrade, if we want to call it that way. So let's go back. I'm going to recap on what I shared with y'all on Tuesday night. I was in the 6th grade, and we were taking tests. We were taking like midterm tests or something like that. And so the entire class was quiet because we were all concentrating on passing this test. And so it was allergy season, or I was, either way, I experienced allergies year round. So it may not have been allergy season, but I was suffering from allergies regardless of anything. And so I had to sneeze, and I was trying to hold it in because the classroom was very quiet. But it is what it is. Sneezing is a natural part of a natural instinct. So I wound up sneezing, and it was a really loud sneeze. But when I sneezed, I passed gas at the same time. Oh my gosh. I will never, ever, ever forget. That was so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. I tell you, all of the kids in the class who was in the class, they told everybody what happened. And they talked about me for the rest of the year because I sneezed and I passed gas at the same time. Both are natural things that happen. Unfortunately, it happened at the same time with me during a class, during a test. We're taking a test, and the entire class was quiet. So that has always stuck with me down through the years. Now I can laugh about it now, but when I was younger in the 6th grade, I was humiliated. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was known as that girl that pooted. The poot girl, when they sneezed and pooted at the same time. So it was something else, but I got over it. And so, and Tuesday night when I was talking about it, one of the viewers, Cole, who was watching it, he fell out laughing. When I said that, he cracked up. He said he did the little laughing emojis, all of that. So, things happen, guys. Things happen. I'm trying to find my live on if somebody's watching on Instagram, can you share the live with me on my Instagram page so I can kind of look at the viewers and I can answer them as well, because I'm going back and forth between YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. Yes. So let's move this along. So embarrassment and shame as a predictor of wanting to change. All right. So the authors of Shame and the Motivation to Change the Self found that feeling shame was a stronger predictor than guilt or regret for motivation for positive self-change. All right. So they offer the following definitions of guilt and shame, emphasis added with it. So, number one, guilt arises when a person focuses on what specifically he or she did wrong. Like, for instance, I did a bad thing. Often results when one has harmed an important relationship, and generally motivates reparative motivations, including efforts to apologize for, fix, or undo the blameworthy act. So that's guilt right there. Let's talk about embarrassment and shame. So embarrassment and shame has a more dispositional focus in which people attend to negative aspects of the self. Okay, for example, I was a bad person. That rather than I did a bad thing, they more so dwell on I was a bad person type of thing, and has been linked to distancing motivations aimed at escaping the blameworthy event or hiding from public view. Okay, so that's the difference between guilt and embarrassment and shame. Guilt, the example is I did a bad thing. Embarrassment and shame is I was a bad person. That's the difference. And then when you're feeling embarrassment and shame, a lot of people tend to hide from public view. They run and they hide. All right. So the researchers looked at to what extent emotions predicted, number one, wanting to change oneself, which is the urge to be a better person, or wanting to change completely, or change aspects of one's personality. Now, again, that's not a bad thing if you are experiencing some character flaws. Now, character flaws does not mean that you are a bad person. It just means that you have some tendencies that, once again, most people should want to change those negative tendencies. Number two, the desire for reparation. Feeling the need to apologize or otherwise take action to make things better. And number three, the urge to distance yourself, wanting to hide or remove yourself from a shameful situation. That's normal. Most people are just going to walk away if something embarrassing happened, if you can. What we saw earlier, the example that I showed with Evan Baxter earlier, with him being treated like a human puppet. He was on the air as a newscaster. He couldn't walk away. But what he did was he just got very nervous like this and then bust out in tears. And I know he wished he could have disappeared behind all of that. So it says that they found that shame was uniquely associated with the motivation to change the self above and beyond moral self-blame, and where you can harm other people. So why would embarrassment and shame, more so than guilt, predict the desire for self-change? Okay, and it says one possibility raised in this study is that because we feel the need to apologize and make reparations when we feel guilty. So we may be less motivated to make lasting changes in ourselves. But when you are constantly apologizing and all of the apologizing for doing, like, finding yourself always doing the same thing, or being that patsy or some, there's some people that are the fall guy, and then you always have to find yourself apologizing. That there is the motivation to make people want to change, or want to change at least that aspect of themselves. It's okay to apologize. It's all right to, especially when you're wrong. It's okay to apologize, but when it becomes more of a routine or something that happens, all the time, where you're constantly apologizing, then you need to look into some kind of things where you need to work on maybe improving whatever the issue is, or whatever that root cause of why you're always apologizing or something like that. And this is what Dr. Brown and Dr. Lisa have researched in this theory. All right, so embarrassment or shame as a first step towards personal growth. And let me move this along. Embarrassment or shame as a first step towards personal growth. So in 1965, Kaz Dabrowski wrote in Personality Shaping through Positive Disintegration of Shame's Role in the Long-Term Process of Personal Change and Growth. All right, that was a lot of words right there. But basically, Dr. Dabrowski wrote a long theory book about embarrassment and shame and personal growth. So Dabrowski proposed that embarrassment and shame indicates a readiness to address disharmony between who we want to be and who we are. And he provides examples of how sensitive children who are prone to out to embarrassment and shame can be helped to distinguish between when their highly tuned responses are useful and when they are not. So, in Dabrowski's theory, embarrassment and shame is important, but ultimately only first step towards personality growth. I'm gonna say that again. In Dabrowski's theory, shame and embarrassment is an important, and but ultimately only first step towards personality growth. Okay, Dr. Cheryl Ackerman explains that only when embarrassment and shame and guilt occur in relation to who we know we want to or should be, our evolving understanding of our ideal self rather than in response to the judgment of others. So, do they take on a development role? Is the question. The conflict for such a person is one of an internal hierarchy based on a vision of who that person should be based on internal reflection and consciousness. So it goes back to who you want to be versus who you are. All right. And any shame that we feel is shame for ourselves based on who we know we should be rather than external expectations. Okay. So we can work past this shame by striving to live our lives more closely to our own ideals so as to reduce the inner conflict. Okay. So again, we can reduce this shame and this embarrassment that some people really do experience this more often than they should. And so once they start realizing that this is becoming a pattern, what they can do is they can start visualizing, who do they want to be? Do you want to be this person that's constantly once again apologizing or finding yourself in a position where you're always being embarrassed or do you want to visualize yourself being someone that is sharp, 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 sharp? You can catch it, you can get it, you won't, and you won't be in that position of being that person who's always caught off guard. Okay, so now it's about bridging the gap. How can we do this? Bridging this gap. How can we do this? The authors of the emotion article suggest that when embarrassment and shame persist through the process of change, or if we try to suppress or deny embarrassment or shame rather than allowing ourselves to experience it, our motivation to change might not always translate into actual change. So again, sometimes it does take embarrassment, or sometimes it takes shame in order for a person to get it and to learn how to rise above always being in the position of being embarrassed. Okay. Um. So okay, emotional. Okay. So they also ask if believing that we can change plays an important role in bridging the gaps between desire for change and change itself. So, Dr. Dabrowski's theory, he offers another possibility. He says that embarrassment and shame arising from a desire to change to please our own higher nature may be more adaptive than embarrassment and shame felt as the finger pointing of other people. Okay? So, in here, so again, your desire to want to change and want to grow from always being embarrassed should trump somebody else always trying to embarrass you, and that should be your motivation to why you want to change versus somebody doing it that way. Okay, so here is the issue becomes in part one of semantics, for as Brené Brown reminds us, referring to guilt, the ability to hold something that we've done or failed to do up against who we want to be, incredibly adaptive. So it's uncomfortable, but it is adaptive. So again, we within ourselves should have more of a desire to want to change and to want to, if you find yourself constantly being embarrassed, kind of doing the same things over and over again. I grew up with a saying, I always heard you don't want to be in the category of forever learning and never coming to the knowledge. That's also in the Bible, coming forever learning and coming to the knowledge of truth. So I grew up hearing that you don't want to be the individual that is forever learning and never coming to the knowledge. Okay. And so that's this, even with embarrassment. You don't want to be that person that's constantly embarrassed over and over and over again. Like you're the one that's giving people a show. Or back in the days, back in Raw, the 300 and 400 BC and all of that, where they had people that was titled jesters, or the king's jester, or the king's fool, or the king's boodle, or whatever like that. Well, modern day, you don't want to be the person where people always saying, oh my God, trust me. It's when this person comes around, trust me, something is gonna go wrong. Trust me, because watch, wherever they go, they always bring confusion with them and something. And watch, so you don't want to be that person that's forever learning and never coming to the knowledge. No change. We are all. Nobody is 100% perfect. But what we all 100% can do is we all can grow and become better versions of ourselves. Okay, so that's what this. I want to show y'all one more thing. I want to show you one more thing about an embarrassing moment. Here we go.
I want to remind you again, our station's at your disposal. You're more than welcome to use any of our interrogation rooms.
Well, we appreciate it, Lieutenant Gerke, but we're all set.
All right, well, if there's anything at all,
excuse me. I was gonna go and have a drink, Lila. So, if I could,
That is hysterical. That's from Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey. And if you ever saw the movie, y'all know that it was just hysterical. But let me bring this back around to a clinical point of view, a therapist point of view. One of the things, Jim Carrey knew that was going to happen when he took that medicine without water. He said it when he was talking to Irene earlier. And she asked, what is that? What is that you're taking? And he said, what he was taking. Then he said why he was taking it. He used the medical term. And he said to her after the fact, he said, I actually hate taking this medicine. I actually hate taking this medicine because it gives me cotton mouth really bad. And then he turned around and took the medicine. He didn't use any water with it. And look, what did we see? An extreme case of cotton mouth with it. So this is just a comical way to show how some people put themselves in embarrassing predicaments, and that was just one comical way to say to see that to show that. So let me put this over here. Hold on. Let me add this and let me put this over here. Yes. Okay. So we did it. We did it, guys. We have the last Tuesday and Thursday. We have done very, very, very well with our 30 minutes. We're going to do our takeaway. So here's the takeaway for tonight. Okay, so the takeaway is Dabrowski proposed that shame and embarrassment indicates a readiness to address disharmony between who we want to be and who we are. All right, so that's our takeaway. Let's move to our quote. All right, let me open this really quick and I'm going to close it. So our quote for tonight is the same as Tuesday night. I really like this one. It says the rate at which a person can mature is directly proportional to the embarrassment he or she can tolerate. And that's by Douglas Engelbart. All right, Engelbart. Douglas Engelbart. All right, so I think that's an awesome quote. Let's move on. This is our theory website. And for my fellow theorists, I want to show you this is where I got my teachings from. Okay, on embarrassment for this week. Okay, let's move this on, guys. We have done awesome. All right, better up. Better up. It says create a personal and professional transformation through expert coaching. If you are looking for a life coach, Better Up, www.betterup.com is the place to try. They will partner you with the right life coach for you. BetterUp.com. Let's move this on to our next one. Ada plus community. For those people, adults or teenagers that have been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, OCD. Ada plus community is empowering adults with ADHD, ADD to live their best lives. Their quote is, "A different brain requires a different approach." Ada plus community. I love this support system right there. Okay, now 988 crisis helpline is available. So you can connect with people that you trust. If you know someone who is struggling, and it's okay to share and wants to share their feelings, the 988 Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people who are in distress, prevention and crisis resources for the person who's in distress or their loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. 988 hotline. You can text them, you can go online, you can call them, however you can reach them. They're available 24/7 for free. All right, the next thing is BetterHelp.com. If you want a safe space to speak with a licensed professional online counselor, BetterHelp offers affordable counseling sessions for individuals, couples, and for family members. And it is affordable. www.betterhelp.com. And this one coming up is my favorite right here. Okay, something happened with my, I don't know what happened with my Learning RX. Okay, I'm going to mention this. Learning RX. Learning RX is a therapeutic space where it's been going for a number of years now. And what it specializes in, and you don't have to be just an adult, you can be a child, teenager, whatever. A lot of professionals take advantage of Learning RX. What it does is that it works. This platform works with people, helping them gain skills like their working memory skills, their long-term memory, and their attention. And your IQ will they have a success rate of where people's IQ have improved 13 plus points. LearningRx.com. This is for people that just wants brain sharpening, brain training, or if you have issues maybe, or you've been experiencing some issues with ADD or ADHD, Learning RX is the best platform that can help you improve, again, your working memory, your long-term memory, and your attention and your focus. All right, so here, okay, let me go this way because I forgot to change it this way. Let me start with this. Okay, so if there's a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae that series that you missed, or you just want to rewatch, go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, and then select any past series for you to watch. Now I'm going to move back to this. I got to fix my slides. If you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens, or via my email at shanrae.price@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. So this has been it, everybody. Thank you. We have completed week 1 of Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. This topic this week was embarrassment / a motivator. All right, I will see y'all next Tuesday and next Thursday, and at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms that are out there. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your weekend. Celebrate you. I will see you next Tuesday evening. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.